Welcome back, Top Performer. According to a Harvard Business Review study, 58% of people say they trust strangers more than their own boss.
That's just so sad.
When it comes down to it, our bosses wield a lot of power when it comes to the key reasons that constantly surface when people leave their jobs. These include salary isn't congruent with the value they bring, bad managers, poor communication, their efforts don't get recognized, they didn't get a promotion, they're feeling stagnant and lack of growth and training, they don't see a clear career path, there's too much work, there's a lack of trust and autonomy, and their job isn't aligned with their purpose. When I look at this list, there isn't one area where a boss doesn't have some, if not considerable, influence over, which is why a lot of studies suggest that managers are the number one reason people leave their jobs. Most bad bosses are not bad people. They're good people with certain weaknesses, just like you and me, FHBs.
Maybe there is some goodness in there.
In this video, we're going to discuss how to turn your boss and others into your career sponsor. While I may constantly focus on your boss, make no mistake, the approach we will discuss to building trust and rapport are applicable across all of your relationships. And fostering other career sponsors is critical when you need to work around your boss. Now, if you already have an amazing relationship with your boss, that's fantastic. That said, if any of these 10 reasons speak to you, then chances are there's an opportunity to help your boss better help you navigate your future.
My future is at stake.
A boss can be a bit like a bouncer at a club. They have the ability to help you either skip the line and use a VIP entrance or send you to the back of the line. Maybe not even let you in the first place. A career bouncer sounds a little harsh, so we're going to focus instead on making them your career sponsor. If you haven't heard the term before, a career sponsor is someone who is in your corner fighting for you. They literally extend their own name and brand to you. They are vested in you because they see your success as their own versus a mentor who may or may not be. A sponsor sees you as their protege and protects you from negative publicity or damaging contact with senior executives. They network on your behalf and open doors. They are thinking 2 steps ahead for you. A sponsor gains satisfaction from discovering your raw talent and showcasing you to the world. Now, stacked up against a mentor may help you define your dream, but a sponsor helps you achieve it. Sponsors deliver. They make you visible to leaders within the company. Now, none of this is to undermine the value of a mentor, just that converting mentors to sponsors is what you want to do. I like to think about this in terms of a celebrity endorsement. Take a look at Jeff Gordon here as an example of relationship with sponsors. He is literally wearing his sponsor's brand on his clothes. Pepsi, 3M, Goodyear, and others are all willing to tie their own success to this person because they believe he will return the favor in terms of increasing their market value. Every sponsor wants to be aligned with the best because being aligned with the best makes them look even better. The workplace is similar, except we don't wear the insignias. That would be considered weird. But the principles are the same. The person, you, and your sponsors, your boss and other influencers, are going to extend their own influence in support of you. In return, you do the same for them by delivering a lot of value and making them look good. Now, if you're not upholding your part of the deal by bringing value, you can lose your sponsorship. To take it back to another celebrity, Kanye West is an example of someone who lost the respect of his sponsors, so they withdrew from supporting him. Sponsorship is a two-way street. In exchange for their trust and support, you provide the same in the form of loyalty and value. It took me some zigging and zagging before I first understood what it meant to have a sponsor. When I first started my career, I had a good relationship with my boss, but he didn't have a good one with his boss, who was the head of the department. That put me at a big disadvantage when they were identifying ways to streamline and potentially outsource groups. Seeing the writing on the wall, I ended up getting a job elsewhere and giving my notice. The pay was the same, but I had less fear about losing my job. Unfortunately, in this new job, I also found myself working for a boss whose approach to managing vendors was to yell and swear at the phone while banging it against the desk. It wasn't very healthy, but she wasn't a full-on monster because she did at least put them on mute when she did that. It took me about a year to come to my senses, and I took a position actually back with my previous employer. First thing I noticed when I returned, my instincts were right and my previous boss was let go. He did not have a good relationship with the head of the department. Having those previous learnings, once I settled back in, I found a few opportunities to engage with the head of the department. I went further and helped him with a few of his pet projects. Soon we grew a mutual respect and admiration for one another. Several promotions followed, and I eventually found myself reporting to this person. This was when I first experienced the power of a sponsor. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was a powerful partnership that would serve both of us well. You might be saying, whoa, Michael, that wasn't just your boss becoming your sponsor. That was the head of the department. True, though he was my future boss, and what you will find is that the rules that apply to creating a sponsor apply whether they're your boss or not. But what you'll see is how powerful having multiple sponsors advocating for you is for your career, especially when you find yourself working with a boss who may be getting in their own way and therefore your way, which was the case for me at that time. In fact, I soon found myself as a peer to the person who had recently been my boss, and eventually she became one of my own direct reports.
Well played, sir.
Having a sponsor in the right place is a key pathway to work around a boss who, for whatever reason, is not interested in progressing or navigating the environment to do so. Now that we've clarified what a sponsor is and how they are different from a mentor, I want to talk about how we convert your boss, the person with the second most power over your career, into your advocate, your sponsor. If you already feel like your boss is your sponsor, congratulations. That said, if it happened naturally and you aren't sure how to replicate it again for other influencers you may need in your corner, listen closely. Continuing your climb requires having more sponsors who want to put their name on you. This isn't only about your boss. This is applicable to all of your relationships. You want to nurture as many sponsorships as you can, as long as you can properly maintain those relationships. There are 3 stages to sponsorship, and depending on the person you are targeting, it may take longer because it's built on your ability to foster trust and add value. Author and CEO of Center for Talent Innovations, Sylvia Ann Hewlett, notes that sponsors are putting their own reputation on the line when they suggest you for a promotion or raise or other opportunity. That requires a huge amount of trust. You have to be loyal and trustworthy because there's risk in this. That means building a rapport with a potential sponsor that makes them confident not just in your abilities, but also in your loyalty to them. As their confidence in you grows, you move past the mentoring period of your relationship and into sponsorship. Developing that relationship takes time. Getting someone to commit to being your sponsor doesn't work the same way getting a mentor does. You'd have a slim chance of success if you approach a person in a position of power and ask them to help you move up professionally. This is why it is first better to identify someone who can be a great sponsor and first ask that person to mentor you. Over time, once you develop a solid rapport and have proven your talents and abilities, that relationship can move into more of a sponsorship dynamic. It is not something that you ask for. It happens based on your contributions to that person. While trying to get someone to mentor you in the hopes of turning that into a sponsorship is an approach you can take, you need to understand that a sponsor isn't someone you necessarily have to look up to or even want to emulate. It's a person in a position of power to help you advance your career. You are not looking for a best friend or someone to share your troubles with. Instead, you want to put your best foot forward for this person, inspiring confidence in them that you can handle what's put in front of you. You want to be careful not to overexpose your vulnerabilities to someone who is helping you advance your career. You should save those details for your friend or a therapist.
I never felt so bad in my entire life.
Now, this isn't to say you may find yourself in a position where you can do that. I've had some sponsors I could be very open with, but you need to let them be the first to do so, or you risk coming across as a patient rather than a competent partner. Remember, sponsors, and especially your boss, can be gatekeepers or at minimum influencers to your next promotion, raise, or career move. Make sure they see how competent you are and how reliable you are. As your relationship evolves, it should continue to develop and feel more like a two-way street. Well, 3 really, because it benefits them, you, and the business. In fact, research has shown that leaders who sponsor others do better for themselves in their career than those who don't sponsor others. Now, this makes sense because you're basically surrounding yourself with ambitious top performers and up-and-comers. To bring value to mentors and sponsors, you want to find ways to make use of your skills. For example, if you have a background in web design and a mentor needs help in that area, get involved. You could offer to contribute your expertise to help rebuild the site as a way to start your relationship, or perhaps they need help with financial analysis or marketing or operations or graphic design or building complex models or developing presentations. You get the point. Look for ways to add value. The big principle is to give before you get. You should always be looking for ways to add value to strengthen your relationships. In my head, I sometimes think of the value exchange like a bank account. If I ask for or take 5 things and I only give them 1 in return, I start to go into relationship debt. I'm asking for more than I'm giving. Eventually, my value to that relationship may shrink, so I need to be making more deposits before I make more withdrawals. Now, this isn't to say the relationship is meant to be transactional, but to acknowledge that when a relationship feels out of balance, it is often because someone is taking more than they are giving. You need to be self-aware of how you are showing up to these relationships, or the other person may close their account with you. You should always strive to give more than you take. This also creates this crazy dynamic because then they're looking at ways to give back to you because what we'll talk about later, some of the psychological effects this has. Now, the process can be slow, as trust takes time. So the sooner you can get started, the better. That, or you can save them from a lion attack, as that would likely accelerate your trust building much faster.
But don't you think that's a little extreme?
In upcoming videos, I'll discuss more techniques to establish trust that don't require fighting a lion.
Oh, good.
Another important thing to keep in mind is that there are also easy ways to wipe out trust, and we're going to dive into those as well. Remember, mentors advise, sponsors act. Second is much more powerful, so start fostering more of them. I'll see you at the top. That's it for this lesson. I hope you found it valuable. If so, this is one of the core lessons from my Career Accelerator system. If you want the full course with the workbook, scripts, and bonus tools, you can get access at careeraccelerator.me. Or you can dive into the next lesson here.